Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals, here with some exclusive content from the ESET UK Masters, and today I'm taking a look at AnexisVerdi. And, well, for those of you who are a bit curious, what's going on with this? What are these videos? Why is the ESET logo on your channel, Madals? It is because, of course, I'm casting with them for loads. So I've done all the online qualifiers. I'm doing the grand finals come the 22nd to 25th of March, and as part of that I decided I'd do a hype week for all the people who've qualified through those online events for a chance to win some of that £10,000 prize pool, just so you, the viewers, can get to know a little bit more about them, who you might want to be rooting for, and who you think could be placing high. So let me know your thoughts about Verdi in the comments section below. Of course, check out the Team Liquid thread as well. There's one for this show week on its own. There's also one for the grand finals. You should go comment in both. Really get the word out, because ESET are doing great stuff for esports, especially just in the UK and also in Europe as a whole, and generally just worldwide, because yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, check them out. So let's introduce the players formally. I should probably do that considering we're already a minute 30 in and I haven't moved the camera yet. So down in the lower right position as the teal Protoss player, we do have AnexisVerdi. And his opponent this game is down in the lower left, the green Protoss player. It is PandaTank. So, PvP, this could be very quick, it could be going a bit longer. With the Mothership core, actually it's easier to hold off some early aggression. Voidway is very good as well, but let's talk just a little about Verdi so you can get to know a little bit more about him. He's Russian, he's 19 and plays for Nexus Esports, and has done only very recently, actually joined them in 2013 January, so only been with them for a couple of months so far, but they're probably pretty happy that he's qualified for this event, not gonna lie. It's a big event and he should be very, very hyped about that. He used to be a Warcraft 3 player actually in his early days, and so therefore he's been going for quite a while in the esports scene. He changed over to HotS quite late actually, and therefore he isn't as well known as some other people in the StarCraft scene. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I hadn't heard of him before the ESET UK Masters, so he was a new player who was a pleasant surprise. And in terms of his events history and things like that, I'm gonna be quite honest actually, I looked it up and I couldn't really find that much about what he's done apart from some online tournaments and things like that, but he is a Grandmaster player, so is PandaTank, just so you know that this is going to be a relatively even game hopefully. How he got here, how he got his seed in the grand finals. Well, it was in the open qualifier #1. He beat Tefo, PandaTank, Sting and Wellmu, and this is actually one of the games that he played against PandaTank, so just so you know that it's from there. Unfortunately, he doesn't speak very good English, and we couldn't actually get hold of him to get another replay for this. But he took the second place. Taking out Sting was really good. He's another one of the finalists, and he actually 2-0'd Sting, and then took out Wellmu 3-1. So really solid player. Got some great players. PvP's really good. Wellmu is absolutely storming it up in HotS. So yeah, this should be fairly good to watch and fairly good to see. So in terms of strategy coming out at the moment, 2 gates, 2 gas out of PandaTank. Meanwhile for Verdi, he is going up to 3 gates, 2 gas. So gonna have a little bit more production, potentially a 3rd gate now being added on by PandaTank as well. The army supply fairly equal at the moment. Worker count 24 to 23, very equal indeed there as well. And this just means that this should be a relatively close game. We've got, of course, the Mothership core coming out for Verdi. That's going to help him defend. No Mothership core yet for PandaTank, interestingly enough. Not using that gas for much else either, so I'm not quite sure why he hasn't chucked that down yet. He does have a slight supply block, which will hopefully alleviate itself shortly. But as we can see, Verdi is just trying to pick off that probe. Does manage to do so. Also sees that pylon, and therefore should be able to take it out fairly soon. Knows that something must be coming up. PandaTank is not getting out Mothership core because he's getting down a Stargate. Of course, Voidway's very strong in Heart of the Swarm, especially PvP. They shred through Stalkers with Prismatic Alignment, which is the bonus damage they do to Armored anyway, and they're very, very effective in this matchup therefore. And Verdi does have the Stalker lead by 1 and that Mothership core, so really this could be a little bit problematic. There's also the Robotic Facility coming out, so PandaTank, he's going to potentially struggle to try and do some damage here. He is going to go and try and scout out for this pylon the Verdi chucked down earlier, ready for some warp-ins. We also have the Stargate nearly complete, but because that isn't down yet, this pylon going to get taken out. And to be honest, PandaTank, this pylon came down so early, gets taken out so early. That's a bit problematic, but the Stargate now complete. I'm expecting to see a Voidway very shortly, but indeed I will be mistaken. because it's going to be a Phoenix, and this is quite an interesting thing to go for. Phoenix battles are always great to see. Verdi, he's got the Observer rather coming out. He's also just starting to kill off those unbuildable plates, and now getting up his Nexus, expanding after feeling that, hey, I held off that pressure really nicely, I didn't lose anything. I can afford to take this expansion with these 3 gates. Got a couple of Stalkers sitting up in the main base as well, ready to pick off anything that could be coming in, because Akelon Waste, I know you call this map, Newkirk District does have this really quick rush distance by air, which means you need to be careful of things like Phoenix, Void Rays, Oracles coming in. Even Warp Prisms are a possibility, so good play by Verdi at the moment. We see the PandaTank does have enough money for a Nexus, probably going to chuck it down. There we go, so things really working out as I'd expect for the time being. No one throwing in anything too confusing at the moment, but I wouldn't put it past them, because they do have some cool strategies. So Immortal coming out, and this is fine as long as the Phoenix that are slowly building in number aren't able to do too much damage to the middle line, because a couple of Immortals with the Stalkers are going to be able to shred through just Stalkers alone, and therefore actually Verdi should be going good going into later game. He's getting that first Immortal up. He'll probably follow up with another one as well. For the moment, the Observer, just sitting out the front, didn't send it over to his opponent's base, so actually no scouts have occurred yet for Verdi. Verdi straight away starting the next Immortal as well, getting ready to deal with what he thinks is coming with some Blink Play. But these Phoenix going to come in, 3 Stalkers are already there, so this could do some really nice damage as we see it's coming in. And what is going to come down? Well, the Stalkers already engaging straight away, some more Stalkers getting warped in, instant reactions out of Verdi. The Phoenix, one does just survive, only just with 20 health right now. But as we can see, that pylon getting taken down. The PandaTank tried to chuck into the 3rd base location, but the Phoenix, they're coming back. They're going to start taking some damage. It does now get sniped off. There's only a handful of Stalkers there, and to be honest, if Verdi wanted to move out, he'd be absolutely fine, because he's got that second Immortal about to pop. He's got the Mothership Core, but he's sitting back being a bit more defensive mode. The Phoenix trying to find a nice angle they can come in at, but there's the Photon Overcharge ready to hold this off. Maybe triggering a bit earlier. If it gone slightly later, could have perhaps got a kill on one of the Phoenix there. But the Phoenix desperately trying to run around, but it's got shut down pretty hard. PandaTank Natural is now up and running, but Verdi already 10 probes ahead. The Stalkers still sitting here diligently guarding the main mineral line. This is just a good play to make that. If you know that your opponent's got air units out, you want to make sure that you can shut it down quite well. But a small angle apparently being spotted there, but PandaTank doesn't want to commit to it. In the time it would take to lift the probe, he could definitely get sniped out. The Immortal count getting a lot higher, and while it seems like PandaTank is containing his opponent, to be honest, Verdi should be relatively happy. That hallucinated Phoenix desperately trying to get chased down and will unfortunately fall, so will not get any scouting information as of yet. But the Phoenix coming back in now for PandaTank. He's going to try and do some damage, but he's flying straight into those Stalkers yet again. And Verdi, because of the Immortals, he doesn't have to worry too much about pulling back. PandaTank getting out a second Void Ray now, so he's transitioning into those Void Rays, which of course deal so much damage now to Stalkers. But Verdi, he's getting up the double Stargate. If we look at the vision for PandaTank, he knows they're there, and therefore it's going to be becoming an air superiority battle. But with these Stalkers around, these Phoenix have done absolutely nothing. In terms of the loss tab, PandaTank has lost, well, that's over double the resources of his opponent. And Verdi clearly very happy about the fact that these Phoenix are unable to do anything at all. It must be incredibly frustrating, actually. Gotta be careful, Photon Overcharge going down yet again. He does trigger that very quickly, actually, so maybe just using that Mothership Core energy slightly too generously, and should be saving it for some other stuff. But he's stopping the Phoenix doing anything, gets the Scout off, sees that still not much else has come down, really. A Twilight Council is en route. I'm not sure if Verdi saw that, actually. No, he did not, so that may catch him a little off guard. But he does see the Void Rays, does know what's coming down, but as we can see, the 3rd Stargate now on its way for Verdi. He's going to be getting out so many Skytoss units, it's going to be pretty sick. More Hallucinated Phoenix being used to gather the scouting informations, and with this, is he going to be okay? Well, we can see that supply-wise, Verdi is ahead. Worker count-wise, it's starting to level out a bit more, only a 3 worker advantage. And to be honest, his pylon's still down his potential for warp-ins, but if you're Verdi right now, I would say he could almost look to start taking another expansion. He doesn't need to stay pinned back here. He knows that he's safe because of this Observer. He's instead just, though, getting up a Fleet Beacon, going complete Skytoss mode, and he's got a good number of his own Phoenix out. Now winning this engagement very well, knocking out the Phoenix, and this is just allowing him to be, yet still, much more cost effective, over double the resources lost from PandaTank as there is from Verdi, and these Phoenix are now going for the air superiority. But Stalker's coming back, ready to try and save this final Phoenix, and well, with the additional gateways adding on, with a Fleet Beacon coming down as well, what's it going to be? If Verdi goes Carriers, it would be absolutely spectacular. Even if he goes Tempest, it would be pretty cool. There's no other reason, and he cancels the Fleet Beacon actually there now, so that's quite an interesting choice, actually cancelling that. so long into production. I don't know if it was going for some mind games. It wasn't scouted or anything, so therefore there's no specific reason to do that. The third Stargate also is unbeknown, but just more Phoenix coming out now for Verdi, and he has got an awful lot. He's clearing out that pylon. And with so many Phoenix, he's going to be able to deal some good damage. He's also going to be able to lift a lot of the ground army, therefore negating any damage they could be doing, and just picking apart the forces of PandaTank piece by piece. Verdi now starting to move forward, and this is a very sizable force. Army supply-wise, 93 to 66. Verdi dropping down the proxy pylon as well, taking out that probe that was coming across the map for PandaTank, but PandaTank does now know there is a lot of Phoenix out. My goodness, that could be dangerous. A lot of Voidways, though, there for PandaTank. That's a lot of DPS, and while there are the 3 Immortals, I'm not sure how quickly they're going to punch through. Now, more Phoenix are in production, so this mass Phoenix play is probably actually going to do okay against the Air Force, but Phoenix don't do that much damage against Voidways because ultimately Voidways armored. Phoenix only deal their bonus damage, as I'm showing you there, to light units. So as a result, it's not going to be as effective, but with so many Phoenix, that's still a lot of damage. PandaTank getting out some Immortals. He walked in some High Templar to do that. He does not have Storm down, and as such, it's purely these Archons now. But Verdi, he's waiting to go for it. He's stopped all production for the moment, probably going for a warp in soon, but in comes the push. There goes down a Time Warp, trying to stop that. A Photon Overcharge on the Nexus, but as we can see, all of those Phoenix in just a flurry of lasers and just shiny things, as PvP always gets down to. And who's coming out on top in that air fight is very tough to tell, but the Voidways are being taken out of the main engagement, and Verdi's majority of his forces are staying in touch. Mass Time Warps out everywhere. No way to tell who's at whose, other than whether the units are slow. But as we're seeing now, the Phoenix have been cleaned out. The Voidways did, the majority of them survive, but Verdi, he's got another warping coming in. No upgrades for either side. Charges down for PandaTank though, and as we can see, PandaTank just desperately trying to hold this off. The Immortals staying up though, and if the Stalkers can focus down the Voidways, that is going to be exceptionally problematic because they're the main damage dealer at the moment. The Immortals are the main damage dealer for Verdi. Verdi is being aggressive so much though. More Phoenix coming out, and the Phoenix didn't really do that much. I'm surprised that Verdi. The only reason he's getting those Phoenix as opposed to Voidway is just because he doesn't have the money. But when you're putting on this much pressure, you've got to be trying to engage as cost effectively as possible. And Verdi hasn't. He was being very cost effective, but now losing a lot more than his opponent. But he's got a lot more out as well. We can see that the army supply about 10 more for Verdi. But this game is very close. The Voidways really helpful for PandaTank, and that is what's swinging these engagements into his favour. Verdi though, he's just trying his best to get out some more Phoenix. He's long range mining as well because his main base getting very low, and this is really going to be hurting both players because, as we can see, PandaTank getting low in terms of his income as well. PandaTank, you've got to be careful if you're going to move out there. You don't want to be going for that. So many more Zealots though there for PandaTank. That's allowing him to tank up so much more damage. Verdi adding in a couple of Zealots of his own. The Zealot count 12 to 14. And well, as we can see, now here comes the charge. A good engagement coming down. The Voidways desperately trying to take out those Phoenix as quickly as they can, but the Phoenix just soaking up some damage, meaning the Stalkers can deal more. The Immortals doing some nice damage, but of course, as we see here, the Archons tanking a lot of the fire. The Immortals don't deal bonus damage to them, but as the Archons fall, Verdi and PandaTank have near identical supply at the moment. And well, this is where the Voidways start kicking in. They are doing a lot of damage to these Stalkers, but the Stalkers also dealing a lot of damage to them. And it looks like now that just through sheer immortal numbers, that Verdi does seem to have the advantage. There is no more Voidways in production. There's only Zealots and Stalkers making up the majority of PandaTank's force. And as we can see, these Immortals now pushing forward, desperately trying to get behind that Nexus. Neither player has their Mothership core down. Phoenix now there for Verdi as well, but it's not really doing anything. Fighting back on those Zealots. These Stalkers have to be so careful with all 3 Immortals up, and you can see that all of the Immortals have a good number of kills on them, so that is why they're so potent, dealing so much damage. 2 more High Templar warping in, probably going to become an Archon as quickly as they can, but the Stalker count nearly non-existent. The Zealots taking a lot of damage, some Force Spirits going down, just making sure that Verdi engages without risk of being surrounded by the Zealots there. Verdi putting on the pain. He now has a good 17 supply advantage, and I think he's going to be able to take this game now. As we can see, good amounts of damage being done. Those probes are finally getting pulled, trying to tank up as much as possible. PandaTank clearly very worried and leaves the game. Verdi was victorious. So, after that incredibly close engagement against a top GM player, what do you reckon? Does Verdi have a spot at the podium? Do you reckon he's going to do well in the grand finals? Of course, they're being shown live on the 22nd to 25th of March. I'm casting them, so make sure you tune in. All details can be found on ESET.ukmasters.com or on various social medias such as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. It is just /ESET UK Masters. I'm Madals, my details are on screen. Make sure you check out the playlist with all the other finalists. I've done recaps from a lot of their games to give you an insight. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the 22nd to 25th of March. Bye for now.